Pitch to Pro is the official podcast of USL Arkansas. This will be our platform to tell our story about the club and the special place that we call home, Northwest Arkansas. This is a journey. We want to bring you along for the ride. We'll share what's going on behind the curtain, help educate the community at large about soccer, our league, and give updates on the progress of the club along the way. Together, we'll explore and unpack our journey to professional soccer, the magic that is NWA, our community, and talk all things soccer from on the pitch to behind the scenes, telling the story of our club. Pitch to Pro podcast is proudly sponsored by podcastvideos.com. Podcastvideos.com is Northwest Arkansas's premier podcast recording studio. Equipped with industry-leading equipment, the recording studio and services save you time, money, and hassle. They are dedicated to helping you create, record, and publish high-quality podcasts for your audience. Be sure to check them out today at podcastvideos.com. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Pitch to Pro podcast. My name is Wes Harris. I am your host, managing director for USL Arkansas, Northwest Arkansas's professional soccer club, playing in the United Soccer League. We have a really special conversation for you guys today with my incredible guest, Mr. Irvin Camacho. Irvin, thank you so much for coming on the show, man.
Thank you so much for the invite. I've been watching the podcast on YouTube, and I'm glad that I'm a guest now, so I'm here. So thank you so much for the invitation.
Well, that means a lot coming from this guy, and we'll get into why, but podcast expert over here, so appreciate you. Before we jump into like all the stuff that you do, because you're such a great active community member here in Northwest Arkansas, and you do so many great things beyond what people probably know you for, which is the District 3 podcast, but and we'll talk about that. But first, I want to just kind of learn more about you, Irvin, and you know, did you grow up here? Are you from NWA? If not, you've obviously been in the area for a long time. So talk a little bit about you and kind of how you came to Northwest Arkansas.
Yeah, so I was born in Salinas, California.
Okay.
Which is like the north part of California. And my parents worked in the fields over there. So anything you could think of, like lettuce, onion, every field, they worked there for a few years. And they weren't getting paid enough.
Yeah.
The wages were really low. We were living in like housing authority apartments.
Okay.
And we needed better opportunities. So my dad we sold everything that we had. We got onto his cars. I think it was like a black Camaro, I believe.
Wow.
And we just drove over here. We had a family over here in Arkansas, and that was back in like 2002. And we heard about the poultry industry, and we heard that they were paying more here. There was more opportunity, more college opportunities, and also less gangs.
Yeah.
Because where I, was raised, there was a lot of gangs in my neighborhood, and my dad just didn't want me to ever be involved with any of them.
Sure.
So we just took that big risk and came over here, and we loved it and stayed. Some of my jobs have actually wanted me to move to a different state, and I don't want to leave.
Yeah.
I love it here. I want to build here, and I want to be part of, what makes Arkansas better in the future.
Yeah.
And that's why I'm really excited about this project.
Well, hold on to that excitement, and we'll talk about it, and we share in that excitement, obviously, but that's awesome. Well, that's a great story, man, and just I want to give kudos to your parents for having the courage and wherewithal to kind of do that, and that takes a lot of courage and is scary, and thankfully you guys had a little bit of family here, but that takes a lot to kind of pick up and move, and I know what that was like, moving here, knowing nobody, and I had a job and I knew what I was doing, had a place to live and all of that kind of stuff. So I can't imagine, man. So,
well, back then, we were not happy about moving.
Yeah.
Because we were leaving all our friends.
Yeah.
Our family, our very close family was over there. And the family that we had over here, we weren't really close with, but we became close with them, right?
Sure.
But looking at it now, I got to go back to where I lived a few years back, and I was so glad my dad made the move, just because things have stayed the same. The schools haven't grown. I love my family, so hopefully I don't take it as a shot, me talking about the city, right? But over here, there's been a lot of growth, and in every little town, Springdale, Rogers, we see the growth here in Rogers and Bentonville. But in my town, things just kind of stood still when I left. And so I'm really grateful that my dad, took that big risk and we came over here with nothing, and we were able to build something.
Yeah. Well, thanks, Dad. Well, that's awesome, man. Well, that's just such an awesome story. I love it. And you guys have kind of chosen to stay a little bit, right? So if you came over here in 2002, It's a little more than 20 years in the area. So talk to me. I mean, you talked about the growth and kind of like why you're happy you stayed, but like what else about NWA? Why do you love the area? I mean, if you guys have chosen to stay, this is now home for you. What do you love about NWA, man?
I love the nature.
Yeah.
I love the people.
We hear that a lot.
And I just, sometimes you want to disconnect from whether it be in your job, whether it be in whatever you're involved with in the community. Sometimes you just want to go, hike somewhere and just be by yourself or be with your wife or your partner. And we have the availability to do that here. Like we can literally just drive down 30 minutes and find a good trail where we can disconnect. And then the people here are good. The people want the best for this state. And doesn't matter like what your political views are. At the end of the day, we really do want the best for the state. And I feel that. And I want to be part of the betterment of our state. And that's why I feel like I'm attached to this state because I want to be part of the process. But then I also just love the people and love the diversity. I live in Springdale. Yeah. So Springdale's probably one of the most diverse places in our area. We have a big Marshallese population over there, big Latino population as well. And when you go to downtown Springdale, you see the diversity. You see the Marshallese stores, you see the Mexican taquerias or restaurants. And there's like a French restaurant now in downtown Springdale as well. So it's very diverse, and I love that. And I don't see myself, distancing myself from that.
Yeah. No, I love that. And you kind of hit on a lot of the things that, we heard. And one of the things that, obviously we've talked about doing, but just being out and about in the community, doing a ton of community listening sessions. And we did 2 in Spanish, 1 in Rogers, 1 in Springdale. Yo hablo un poquito, but we needed, we brought in a translator so that that's full on. So, and it was, meeting them where they were at. And I think that that's important too, in terms of connecting there. So, and we did one in Marshallese as well.
I heard about that
community. So, and they're just so excited too. Those were honestly my favorite sessions. And they, just because the passion there and for the sport is so different than other communities.
You see, I have a friend, his name is Matthew, which I would like to connect you with him one day. He's Marshallese.
Okay.
But he was raised in California and he was raised around Latino kids.
Okay.
So he's a big Barcelona fan, which I'm a Madrid fan, so I'm like, whatever.
Yeah.
But he is in love, in love with the soccer culture, in love with Messi. And you wouldn't think, that the Marshallese community would also have some sort of relationship with soccer, but they're, especially the young folks, they do have a relationship. So I'm excited to see, what their contributions will be.
Well, and the other cool thing about the Marshallese, real quick, for those that don't know, and I think we talked about this on other episodes, but we have the largest population density of Marshallese folks here in Northwest Arkansas, in mostly in Springdale, but outside of the Marshall Islands, anywhere in the world.
Yeah.
There's over 15,000 Marshallese in Northwest Arkansas. And so they've kind of made this home away from home. And they are the last UN country to have a FIFA-sanctioned national team.
Oh, wow.
And so this is starting, and it's people on the ground here in Northwest Arkansas that are helping to lead that charge.
Oh, wow, I did not.
Yeah. So it's super cool to have this other kind of soccer project as well, kind of bringing our communities together all at the same time. So it's really, really cool and interesting.
Do you feel like the stars are aligning? With all this that's happening?
I tell you what, Irvin, it is the, people talk about a perfect storm, and a lot of times in a negative way. And for this, it's absolutely in a positive way. I think, people always ask me kind of like, why Northwest Arkansas? Why soccer? Why now? And it's right time, right people, right sport, and right market. And I think it's a perfect storm of all 4 of those things. You have Northwest Arkansas and the trajectory that we're going. We have over 60% of our population is not from here. They're from all over the world, and soccer is the world's game, right? And so they're whether they're soccer fans or not, they are used to a lot of the time coming from bigger markets where they've had professional sports options. And so they're used to that. And so, so you have that. You have increasing diversity in this area, and what does soccer mean in those communities? So it's great there. You have the right time. The slate of global soccer coming to the United States, starting this summer with Copa America, is absolutely unprecedented, I think, in global soccer history, with Copa America in 24, FIFA World Cup 2025, FIFA World Cup in 2026, potentially the Women's World Cup in 27 or 31, and then LA Olympics in 2028. Insane. There's never really been a run like that. The closest, I think, has been Brazil in 2014. And so you have that. And last time the World Cup was here in 1994, the most attended World Cup in the entire history of the competition, by the way.
Okay.
Is going to was the springboard of our, professional soccer landscape and what it has become today. And I think it's going to have an even bigger effect after 2026, especially for this area and this region.
I mean, look at the difference now. I mean, we look at the social media.
Yep.
There wasn't social media back in 1994.
Exactly. 100%. Like, technology's changed. Not even the sport, to your point. Technology and everything else about how we're connected has changed. And so you have all of those factors. Then you have, Warren Smith and Chris and others on our project that have just are local, a fantastic blend of local NWA people that have called this home, know about the area, but also have the experience in professional sports to help cultivate that and build a world-class organization. And then the market, again, just NWA and the growth and what we're doing as a community together. And I think it's just like this, to your point, the stars aligning on all fronts.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, now you have the Marshallese, national team coming to fruition. So it's just every day we are feeling even more encouraged by, the reactions that we're getting, but also just ancillary things that are also happening around our sport. Now had Division I sanctioning for the USL Super League, so our women's team is going to be playing at the highest level of professional women's soccer in the United States. Incredible, right here in Northwest Arkansas. You have the already a strong foundation with the University of Arkansas women's team, top 10 team in the country. Like, Coleman's been doing a fantastic job there.
I feel like every time I see Twitter and I see like they're playing, they're always winning.
They score a lot of goals. So it's a lot of fun. But yeah, man, I think the stars are aligning, to your point, and it's just been a really, really cool time to be a part of it. It's perfect. So yeah, I do think so. But like, let's talk. I love NWA. I've lived here twice. I've called it home now. 2 of my kids are born here. Talk a little bit. You touched on it a little bit in terms of being a part of the process and being, part of the work that's being done to help make our state a better place and our community a better place. And you do a lot. So I'll leave it up to you on what you want to talk about in terms of the work that you do, but talk a little bit about how you're involved in the community and ways that people can get involved, because I think that's something that I think soccer also does and is special, is it gives people a vehicle to be a part of their community in ways that potentially others don't, or there are people that are looking for a way to get involved in their community and they don't know how. And this is maybe a platform that allows that to kind of springboard again for them. But talk a little bit about what you do, man.
Definitely. So I got the opportunity, I think about 1.5 years ago, to speak at the University of Arkansas. And it was kind of like I had to teach a lesson. And my lesson was, how to find what you're passionate about in the community and get involved. I feel like there's different avenues for that. People are passionate about animal rights. People are passionate about immigrant rights. Me specifically, I started getting involved in the community because there was a need. Back in high school, I think it was 2010, late 2009, there wasn't a lot of advocacy for immigrants here in Northwest Arkansas, just for whatever different situations immigrants might find themselves in, resources. So a lot of us who were 18, 19, 20, we all got together and just started organizing, started creating educational forums, know your rights forums, providing resources to the community, and pretty much creating a blueprint on how to organize immigrants in our area. So through that time, we've not only had forums, we've taught people about voting as well, the importance on that. We've registered people to vote. And then we've also, I'm not sure if you've ever heard of DACA.
Yep.
For those that don't know, DACA is Deferred Action for Childhood Arrivals, which is a work permit that allows young undocumented people to work here legally in the country. If they've been here for quite a few years already, and they have to pay $495 every time that they apply for that permit. That's not affordable for a lot of people.
Sure.
So we've been able to fundraise in our community, and every year I do a scholarship and we're able to give, this year we gave 17 scholarships, full scholarships, so people didn't have to pay anything for the renewal fee. And, that goes a long way for some people.
It does.
Sometimes we forget, because either we're successful or we start making good money, that $495 is a lot of money. But when you take that away, that worry from someone, you can make a big difference in someone's life. So created the Arkansas DACA Scholarship a few years back. I'm doing that every year. And I'm just still trying to stay active. So not only do I do my own things, but I'm also trying to show up for other communities.
That's great.
I know the Marshallese community is going through some things right now, and I've been trying to show up for them and trying to be a good ally. But I try to do that with as many communities as I can. And I won't go too much in depth as to everything that I do, but I also serve on the board of the ACLU of Arkansas. And I ran for office back in 2015 when I was 24 years old.
Wow.
So I've been very, very involved in the community, and I've been able to build great relationships because of that.
Yeah.
And I feel like through those relationships, we'd be able to create, beautiful projects, and I've been able to get involved with beautiful projects like this one.
Yeah.
I remember I reached out to Chris, and after he came on our podcast, and I was like, any way that I can get involved, if y'all need anything, please let me know, because I'm really, really passionate about soccer. And the fact that it's coming here, it makes my eyes light up. And I'm really excited about what the future may hold. So,
well, don't worry. We'll be reaching out for sure.
Thank you.
Don't worry.
I appreciate it. I appreciate it. But I hope I answered your question. I don't know how much in depth to go into, but
no,
that's kind of where it starts for me.
No, and that's great. I think being involved is in your community where you live, work, play. And there's different levels, right, for people to get involved. But I think it's awesome when people can come together and have this common goal. They may disagree on how we get there, but we can at least come to the table and say, how do we make our community a better place?
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, I don't think anybody can get, not on board with that mission, right?
Yeah.
And so we can just, okay, how do we figure it out together? And so I think that those conversations are really important, and to remember that we're all in this together, and we all live and right next door to each other, and we're all part of the same community. And that's what's so special, I think, about this place.
There's much more things that bring us together than separate.
100%, despite what the media would have you believe.
Yeah.
Right.
So when we sit down, because of my current job right now, I speak with a lot of leadership of churches and nonprofits, and you'd be surprised how many people are going through mental health issues.
Oh my goodness.
It doesn't matter if it's in a church that doesn't have a lot of funds to the most bougiest church you can find in Bentonville.
Yeah.
Mental health is a issue for everyone, and so is housing insecurity as well. So I've realized that when you sit down and you have a conversation with someone, it's better than having a conversation through social media.
Yeah.
In my opinion.
Yeah, absolutely. No keyboard warriors.
Yeah.
We talked a little bit about media but talk a little bit about District 3 and how that kind of came about and what you're doing there. What are you guys looking to do? I mean, almost 300 episodes that you guys are coming up on now. So obviously been doing it a while. So talk a little bit about that, man.
Yeah, I started back in 2019. I think it was right before COVID began, whenever I started. And I was recording in a studio on Dixon in college. And we had cameras, but it was just really badly shot. And the lights were really bad too. We didn't have the best audio, but we wanted to do something. We knew that there was a space needed for Latinos to have conversations about things that were happening in the community and to speak on it unfiltered. Because a lot of the times when you're on the radio, got to be careful what you say. You also have commercials that come in, so you're limited as to how much you can talk. But in this podcast, we talk for an hour nonstop, just about things that are affecting our community, and then also highlighting people that are doing good work in our community. Yeah. So we started back then, and if you listen from the first episode to the most recent one, you'll definitely see the quality and audio has gotten way, way better, because now we record in a professional studio at KUAF here in Fayetteville.
That's awesome.
And we just recorded episode 235.
Wow.
So we've had a lot of conversations with politicians, people that are artists in the NWA, people that are working for nonprofits that are doing good work. So, and through that, we've been able to build so many relationships. I've been able to meet so many cool people, and I have an excuse to if I want to have a conversation with someone that I've, wanted to connect with, I can say, hey, want to come to the podcast? Let's sit down and let's talk. And then the relationship it blossoms from there.
Yeah. And it's such a different medium too, to kind of come in and have a chat and discussion, but also storytell.
Yeah.
And it's catching on even more every day. You know, it's mainstream now, but it's still on the very early side of mainstream.
There's very few podcasts in Arkansas. Very few.
It is, you know, so I mean, it's getting there, but you know, I think adoption still has a ways to go, but it's a fun medium. I've had fun with this and, you know, getting back into it. I did it way back in the day when podcasting was just beginning, but to come back to it has been fun. So congrats on 235 episodes. And I know you guys do a lot of good work there with that one and shedding light on some cool stories and people doing good work in the community. So that's awesome.
Thank you.
So we talked a little bit about this, man, but like one of the cool things about Northwest Arkansas, at least, you know, for me, and what we've heard people say, frankly, from listening sessions, so it's not just me, but is the increasing diversity that we have in Northwest Arkansas as more people are learning about the area and you know, choosing to come here either for work, to live. And, you know, there's a balance of kind of the people that may feel like it's getting too big too fast if you grew up here or have been here for a long time. And so there is that balance that, you know, we always want to be mindful of. But as we continue to grow, we're not just growing in population size, we're growing in diversity, which I think is important. Diversity of thought, especially even. Like, it's not just about, you know, people from different parts of the world. It's about bringing differences of thought, because for me, I'm a consummate learner and I always enjoy learning new things and different perspectives and hearing about people and their stories. And so trying new foods, like, you know, all those different things. So talk a little bit about, you know, your experience there and you know, what excites you about that?
I think we all have our complaints, right? When it comes to like the city getting too big, because I know that way we're in traffic sometimes, we're like, man, like, and more people are going to come, it's going to be even more difficult to get home from work. So I get that completely. But overall, diversity is a beautiful thing, and I think it benefits everyone. I mean, there's data that shows that, like, for example, with businesses having diversity of thought, you tend to be more successful. You tend to thrive more when you have diversity of thought, whether it being, you know, real ethnicity, gender, whatever. Like, there's always a positive to that. But for me, I'm always been a big proponent of it. I've always been a big advocate for embracing diversity and understanding that learning from other cultures will make us better, will help us. Well, even maybe it'll push us to even learn a different language. You know, for me, for example, I've been trying to learn Marshallese. That's kind of awesome. Been my goal. One, because I want to be able to communicate better with my Marshallese brothers and sisters. But two, this community, specifically Springdale, well, you're going to need Marshallese in the future. You're going to need to be able to communicate with a lot of these folks that not only are coming in, but are growing up through our school system. And I've always kind of like wanted to push myself. The only reason why I haven't learned yet is because it's very rare when you can find someone that teaches you.
Yeah.
And that's why I haven't had the ability, and you can't really find it on any kind of app or anything. Right. Really.
Yeah. It's tough.
You can find all the other languages, right? But I really can't think of any kind of negative as to, you know, the fact that people want to come here, and because I'm excited to see like what else we're able to build. Yeah. In this area, you know,
with that comes more opportunity, right?
I mean, look at this project. And
exactly.
Who knows if we'd be here if it wasn't because of the diversity of this area. Who knows what that would look like?
Exactly.
And I think about other areas and maybe not just Rogers and Bentonville, but like what that will mean for Springdale, for Lowell, for Fayetteville, for West Fork, all these different areas that will feel the diversity and will feel the effect of it in a positive way.
Yeah. No, I think you brought up some awesome points, man. That's so, it's refreshing to hear. And I think you're hitting a lot of those points spot on. So you talked about the project and what this is going to do. So let's shift into the fun part of the conversation. Not that the other part wasn't, but being a soccer guy, this is the fun part. So talk to me a little bit about, you know, your experience with soccer, football, and how did you, I'm assuming you're a fan, but how did you become a fan? How did you kind of get introduced to the sport? And then we'll kind of take it from there.
Sure thing, man. My first memory and the reason why I became a soccer fan was the FIFA World Cup final 1998. And seeing Zinedine Zidane score those two headers in that final against Brazil. Did that bring some trauma to you or something?
Yeah, you did. Zizou is one of my favorite players of all time. And when he headbutted Materazzi, that was heartbreaking for me because they ended up losing the final to.
Oh yeah.
Well, that was 06, but the 98 when they won. But yeah, in 2006, that was heartbreaking because that was his last World Cup, and to see him go out like that was hard.
I was watching that, and
so anyway, I interrupted you. I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. So I didn't get to watch it live. My uncle recorded it back in the day when you could record with like a VHS tape. Yeah. So he recorded it, and every time I would go to his house, I would watch it. I was very mesmerized by that game because I remember, I think it was like a header. What was the final score, 3-0 or 3-1? I forgot. Might have been 3-0, right?
I believe it was 3-0.
Because it was like Zinedine Zidane head, corner kick, goal. And I think a second one, also corner kick, goal. And then the third one was in the last minute, Emmanuel Petit.
Yep.
And he was like, it was like they didn't need to score another goal, but he scored like last minute, which made it even more dramatic. And ever since then, I was just very mesmerized by Zinedine Zidane. And that's why I became a Real Madrid fan, because of him. My dad was a big Pumas Unam fan, so I root for both teams.
Okay,
my teams are Pumas and Real Madrid. Okay, because of that, and
you and Chris will get along.
Oh, because he's a big Luka Modric fan.
Modric, yeah.
And
Russian connection.
Yes, I think he's about to retire soon. So
he is. It is sad.
But I've been able to experience, like this great run from Real Madrid.
Right.
How many I think they've won like was it 4 or 5 Champions Leagues in this past decade? I believe
it's been incredible. Yeah.
So for me, as I've started getting like really involved with watching Real Madrid and everything, I've had more good memories than bad. So sometimes when like Real Madrid loses, I forget what that feels like. Yeah. I'm like, what?
You got to be humbled a little bit.
I know, but it's very rare when Real Madrid loses. But when we lose, I'm like, what is this? Like, what is this feeling? I don't feel good about it. But I also, I played soccer in the youth league here when I was like 11 through like 14, and that was a lot of fun. And I was pretty good. I was like the top scorer of the league when I was playing in the sharpshooters. That's what they were called.
Okay,
Springdale Sharpshooters.
There you go.
It was a blue uniform.
Nice.
And I didn't get to play in high school because I started working, and just because like there was a need. In my life, we needed to pay bills and stuff. But I remember I almost went and tried out. I was there already, but then I was like, I needed to find a job, and I ended up working at this one place. But Springdale, they've won 2 championships in the past. Was it like maybe the past a little over a decade? So I'm excited to see this talent that comes out.
There's a lot of talent in Northwest Arkansas. There really
Springdale, Fayetteville, Bentonville. There's a lot of even people from like Van Buren, Fort Smith. I'm excited to see, if that talent makes its way over here eventually, and what that can become. But yeah, I've become a fan. I've gotten to go watch Real Madrid play in Dallas, go see the Mexican national team. Haven't seen the U.S. national team yet.
Okay.
But I would love that. And the goal is this year to go see Real Madrid play at the Bernabeu. That's the goal.
Oh, wow. That'd be awesome.
So hopefully we make that happen.
So I've been there. Not
Jealous.
for a match, but I've been there, did the stadium tour, and it's impressive. I've not been there since it was a few years ago. But
my brother-in-law, he took a trip to Spain about 2 years ago. He doesn't like soccer. He hates soccer. And then he FaceTimed me, and he's like, "Guess where I'm at?"
Oh,
and
no.
I'm like, what?
So a guy that doesn't even appreciate it is
he's at the Bernabeu.
Oh,
and he's like, what is it? He was in the stadium and he was like looking around. He's like, oh, what's so special about this? I'm like, bro, if you only knew. But he brought me a little Real Madrid keychain, so I appreciated that. But
there you go.
It's my turn to show up and be there and hopefully watch a game. I would love to be there, win a game.
I would have loved to have been there for a game. Unfortunately, it was off season. So, but it was impressive. It was impressive.
You just now that they've done the whole remodeling.
They have. I mean, they have one of the coolest.
Taylor Swift is playing there in a few months.
She is. They're going to do some NFL games there.
Yeah.
It's going to be really cool. So, well, that's awesome. I love hearing people's stories about how they got into the sport.
And FIFA too. Do you ever play FIFA?
I do. I did. I don't do it anymore because I got kids. But
it's hard to. I'm guessing with kids, it's probably hard to even.
It's hard because you're just your focus is on them and their activities, and then when you unplug for the night, I just, because if your partner or spouse or whatever your situation is, if you have that, that's kind of some of the only alone time that you get together, is when they go to bed, and then you maybe have an hour. And so, I don't know, my brother-in-law and my sister get it done, and a lot of times he'll play at like 1, 2 in the morning. But
people need their sleep.
I need my sleep. I can't do that. So, but he was a much bigger gamer than I did. But when I was growing up, I mean, when I was in college, connecting with friends that, I wasn't at the same school with, that was kind of how we stayed connected, was, you go online and you play some FIFA and talk to each other and catch up over a game. And so I did that into my early 20s and stuff. But yeah, with kids now, it's a lot of coaching and their activities and that kind of thing. So I'm getting ready here in a couple weeks. I will be on a soccer field coaching 6 days a week.
Oh, really? Where at?
So I coach up at Sporting, Sporting Arkansas. So this just from where we live and proximity, and also culture that they're driving there with Scott and what he's done with the club, and just seemed like a good fit for us. And so we've loved it. And so my oldest is about to be 8. So he's on the 2016 boys.
Oh, wow.
And so we have 4 teams that I help coach, and about 32 kids. And it's awesome. So I was just there last night. And then my middle one is not quite ready yet for like a age group team, playing other squads. So she's in their pre-academy program. So I help with that. I help with that as well. And then my little one, she's at it's actually a program. I think they're based out of Rogers or Spring, Happy Feet. I guess now it's called, they've rebranded, I apologize, Feet First. So FC Horizons puts that on. Gotcha. So the owners of Tribe up here at Rainbow.
And Walton. Off topic, but on topic.
Yeah.
Did Chris tell me that you're a Liverpool fan?
I am.
So we've had battles at the Champions League finals.
Yeah. And mostly you guys get the better of us.
Did you ever have like flashbacks of was it Karius? Of
Loris Karius, yes, I do.
That game. that game.
I want to forget that game really, really hard. I have flashbacks of Karius's blunder in the first 5 minutes, and then I also have flashbacks of Bale's that was just incredible, by the way.
Which I think
you have to give credit where credit's due.
What do you think, Bale?
That was just the nail in the freaking coffin, and it was just like the way that he did it and the fashion he did it was just like so in your face. And I was just like,
do you think, which one did you find more appealing? The bicycle kick of Gareth Bale versus Liverpool, or Cristiano Ronaldo versus Juventus? Which one did you like more?
Even though I hated it at the time, I liked Bale's.
I think even though Cristiano says that his was the best, I think Bale's was the best.
It was so pretty, and just the form, perfection, like just everything, the way it developed. I knew it as soon as I saw the ball come in the air, and I saw him twisting, and he was getting ready to go into position. I was like, oh no! And then it was just like this slam home into the corner. It was unreal.
Just that first goal though, the Gareth Bale first goal, like I don't get. I guess Karius was just not in the mental state.
Just was not there. A mental slip.
And I think he got removed, right? He wasn't the goalkeeper the next season?
Yeah, no. He
man.
After that, it was
y'all won a Champions League.
We did. Not the next year, but I think the year after. So
then maybe y'all might get Xabi Alonso as your new coach.
We're getting there. I would hate to be the guy that has to follow Jurgen Klopp. But I do, I think Xabi Alonso's got he's one of the most impressive coaches, not just young coaches, but impressive coaches in Europe, and what he's doing at Liverpool.
You're top of the league right now, right?
Oh my God. Yeah, he is. And Liverpool is, and Bayer Leverkusen is, and they just beat Bayern Munich.
I'm glad someone's finally taking that trophy away from Bayern.
The competitiveness of the other 5 leagues is starting to improve, which is a good thing. So at least in my opinion. So I think it's boring to watch, the whole Super League concept. Like, it's boring to watch the same teams and compete for the same things over and over and over and over. So,
well, I'm happy for your team.
Thank you. Yeah, it's I'm still in my mourning process. I've not quite come to acceptance yet. So. Jurgen Klopp is leaving at the end of the season. For people that don't know, he's probably one of my favorite coaches of all time for Liverpool. So, restored us to glory. But, that's what soccer means to you and me. Talk a little bit, because it's special and it's different. Talk a little bit about what soccer or football means to the Latinx community.
It means a lot. I mean, if you look at, for example, Next Level Soccer Arena, you know what I'm saying, right?
I do. I play there.
So we also have I'm also part of a pro wrestling company.
Okay.
And we actually have our shows at the Next Level Arena, but like in a little back room.
Oh, that's too funny.
So we're there a lot. And I used to do voter registration there as well at the Next Level Arena. And, you see people that come directly from work to go play. Like, this is like their outlet, and sometimes they come with their kids. Some of their kids are screaming sometimes.
It's like a family event, isn't it?
Sometimes there's some fights that happen here and there, because people get really passionate about it. People really, really care about the sport, and they care about winning, and they care about their team.
Yeah.
One of my friends used to run local, like, it was like fundraiser tournaments, soccer tournaments. And there was this one time where like the ref didn't show up, and I was forced to ref.
Oh, wow.
And it was a team. It was a team like mainly comprised of Mexicans versus a team mainly comprised of Salvadorians.
Oh boy.
And anytime that I would call a wrong play, like they'd come and yell in my face, and like I felt like they wanted to, be violent with me, but I didn't take it that way because I'm like, they're just really passionate about the game.
Just passionate. And
if they're passionate, and then on social media, I see how passionate they are about the teams that they support, America, Chivas.
Chivas, yeah.
Like, there's just such a big rivalry there, and people, buy their shirts, try to go to all the games that they can go to. So seeing all those different things through my experiences, I've realized what the sport means to people.
Yeah.
And even when this project was announced, I saw the amount of shares that it got, and the people that were like, "Oh, we finally got something for us."
Yeah.
And what that means to a community, I think, is what it means to this community is really special. And I bet you feel that. You've seen it.
Yeah. Well, that's what we felt in some of those listening sessions, right? That we did with that community in particular. And God, it was the passion that was there. And people trying to get me on the hook, saying that we're going to have players that are from their communities, and my son wants to play for you, and this and that. And that was tough because, it's disingenuous of me to just say that, yes, 100% that we're going to have. Will we create the pathway and the opportunities that those players don't currently have to be able to build a pathway to pro? 100%. Do I think that the talent is here? Yeah, because there's been talent from here exported to professional organizations already. So yes, it's here. I can't sit here and tell you, though. I'm not the coach. I'm not the GM or sporting director. So, but we're going to do something, and that's the intent, is to provide that pathway that we don't currently have here. So keep the talent in NWA. So
I recently learned that, not talking about NWA, but Arkansas, that the goalkeeper for the Japanese national team is from Little Rock.
It's wild, right? Wild. It's like, wild. What? So it's so cool to see for me as a soccer guy living in Arkansas. So, you talked just a little bit about it, but talk to us, and we'll end on this a little bit here is, talk about our project. What is this going to mean to Northwest Arkansas? And that can be from any lens you want to take it, but why does this mean something a little bit different for our community? Why does it excite you? And why do you think the community is getting around it?
Yeah, so I mean, like I said, we have a lot of diversity in this area, right? And that's a beautiful thing on its own. And a lot of the times we want to support teams, we'll go to Kansas City, we'll go to Dallas, Houston, and that's okay. But we would love to have something at home, something that is ours, something that we identify with and that we're proud of in our community. And I believe that we're able to do that with this project. We're going to be able to do that. To have not only a men's team, but a women's team too, because there's a lot of fans that are fans of women's soccer, and they'll root, for the Arkansas Razorback female team. But as a whole, Arkansas, as a whole community, as Northwest Arkansas, or just the Ozarks in general, we want to have representation, and we want to be able to go to something that's less than 30, 40 minutes away from our home.
Exactly.
And this is going to be built in our backyard. Pretty much. And we get to be a part of the initial stages of it. We get to be there at the first game. We get to learn about whichever player comes into the area and really be behind them, And, I got a lot of inspiration, just about soccer from watching Ted Lasso. And it got me to be able to translate to other people that are not soccer fans what soccer can mean to a community.
Didn't that show do such a good job of that?
Yeah, my wife hates soccer, but she loves that show.
it's so, people knock it because I think of how it started and the character and that he played on, you know, some of the NBC, you know, bits or whatever. And maybe what people's perception of it is, but just as a drama, I mean, it's a comedy, but the character arcs of that are some of the most beautifully written that I've ever seen in terms of a show. And I'm obviously biased because I love the show and I've watched it, and I talk it up all the time. But I just had friends, to your point, like, this is not going to be for me. And I said, just sit and watch. And they come back and they're like, that's one of my favorite shows of all time.
Me too.
And they're non-soccer people, but then they watch it and they're like, wow, I get it now. Like, you know, and they do such a great job, not just from the character building, but to your point on helping people understand a little bit about what does community-based grassroots soccer mean. And I'm still on your thunder, man, but I just get jazzed about it.
I think
keep going.
You added to what I was saying. I think I've showed Ted Lasso to multiple people that don't watch soccer, my wife included, and they loved it. And because they learned about every character's individual story, you know, what if we can do that here for the project here? And we highlight, you know, all these different players that are coming in, what their story is like, so people can connect. And I think people are going to show up, people are going to support, and I think it's going to be a beautiful thing for the culture and just for soccer in general.
Yeah.
You know, because I've played here locally, I've gone to bars here to watch games and stuff, and I've always been envious of other areas around the country that have a soccer culture.
Yeah.
And I'm slowly starting to see happen, not only beyond the soccer fields, but like in the community in general.
Yeah.
So for me, whenever I see this project, I'm like, okay, this is the big thing that's really going to pop off the culture in our area.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm excited about it. I feel like there's so many endless possibilities of what this can become, and the effect that this can have for soccer in Arkansas. It's going to be great.
And the impact that we can have off the field is truly what gets, I mean, me excited. I'm a soccer nerd. I love, you know, the stuff on the field, and I love that. That's going to be great. Can't wait. But also the impact and what this can mean for the community through the power of sport, and storytelling and impact and all those different things. So, well, Irvin, thank you so much, man, for coming on. I think I've had so much fun. We could just sit here and talk we could have our own show, man. So we will be sure to have you back on, but really, really appreciate you and your insights and your passion, and your support. And, for our listeners, thank you guys so much for listening. Again, go find us at Pitch to Pro on all platforms, wherever you listen, and find your podcast at USL Arkansas on all platforms, and go check out the website and sign up. Don't miss any news. Until next time, Northwest Arkansas, cheers.